Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Olympics to you all. My name is Rob St. Clair from Chicago in the United States. That is Everett DeLorme from Toronto, Canada. And this is the official Volleyball World 2024 Paris Olympic Games Women's Indoor Volleyball Preview, the biggest event on the calendar. 2 straight weeks of unbelievable volleyball coming up, and we've got all the information you need right here.
Yeah, we're going to be breaking down the tournament format, the different pools, all of the teams, the schedule, the calendar, everything you need to know about all the pools, all the teams, and the entire 2-week tournament of the 2024 Paris Olympics Women's Volleyball Tournament.
Including our gold medal picks at the end.
Yeah, you guys don't want to miss that. But first, Rob, how about you explain the tournament format?
The 2024 Paris Olympic Games, both indoor volleyball tournaments, will feature a brand new format this year. Still the same 12-team field as we're used to, but this time instead of 2 pools of 6 teams each, we are going with 3 pools of 4 teams each. The preliminary phase, round-robin pool play, where you play everybody else in your pool, now only features 3 guaranteed matches per team compared to the previous 5. And as for advancement out of the preliminary phase, the top 2 finishing teams in each pool advance to the quarterfinals, plus the top 2 ranked third place teams. That will complete the field of 8 that will play a single elimination bracket from there on out. And with only 3 matches per team instead of 5, every single set, every point, every standings point, everything matters so much more, as it's a lot more likely that things will come down to tiebreakers. As far as rosters go, every team will be able to select 12 athletes. They have all already done so. Plus, for the first time ever, a 13th official alternate player. And this is different from all the other events in the Olympic cycle where teams are used to having 14-player rosters. The coaches this time have had to whittle that down to just 12.
As for the calendar, volleyball fans are pretty lucky, as the tournament lasts the entire 2 weeks of the Olympics. Pool play is going to get kicked off for the women on Sunday, July 28th, going all the way till Sunday, August 4th. We're going to have 4 matches a day, which is down 2 from the 6 we had back in Tokyo. The quarterfinals are all going down on Tuesday, August 6th, with both semifinals happening on Thursday, August 8th. The bronze medal match will be Saturday, August 10th, with the gold medal finals happening on the final day of the Olympics, right in the prime time on Sunday, August 11th. You're going to have to check your respective countries' Olympic rights holders to see when the broadcasting is, because these matches will not be broadcasted or featured on Volleyball World TV.
Now, this Olympic cycle has been different from many in the past. This one, of course, only 3 years instead of the usual 4. It also featured a brand new Olympic qualification format where 6 teams joined the hosts from France through the Olympic qualification tournaments in the fall of 2023, and the remaining 5 were selected at the end of this year's Volleyball Nations League based on world ranking and continental representation. But after all that, we have what Everett and I agree is one of, if not the deepest fields in the history of the volleyball tournament on both the men's and the women's sides. This women's field is particularly awesome. And right after the VNL preliminary round, the 12 teams were drawn into these 3 pools of 4 teams each.
Yeah, Rob, we probably have some of the evenest and most equal pools we've seen so far in the Olympic tournament. As you said, going from 2 pools of 6 to now 3 pools of 4, and this is how it's going to break down. In Pool A, you're going to have the hosts, France, a team on the up, also featuring the United States of America, the defending Olympic champions, also the 2016 Olympic champions in China, and then rounding out the group in 4th, you have another team who has medaled at the past 2 Olympics, Serbia. This is a very, very deep pool. In Pool B, you have Brazil, Poland, Japan, and Kenya. Especially those top 3 teams, competition is going to be fierce. And then finally rounding it out in Pool C, you have 2 of the best teams in the world, Italy and Türkiye, with the Netherlands and the Dominican Republic, the Norsika champions, rounding out the group in the 4th position in Pool C.
We're going to break them down. We're going to go pool by pool. We're going to go team by team. Let's get it started with Pool A.
All right, kicking things off with Pool A, we have the hosts, France, who received the direct bid by hosting the Olympics, the United States of America, the defending Olympic champs, and then a couple of other medal favorites.
Yeah, Olympic pedigree, a big theme in this pool. The 3 seed is China, who won Olympic gold back in Rio 2016, and the reigning world champions from Serbia, seeded 4th, but you can expect a lot more than a 4 seed caliber team out of the reigning world champions. Let's get started talking team by team. Everett, take us away with France.
Kicking off Pool A, we have the hosts, France. And now, currently ranked 19th in the world, France is actually a team on the up. They qualified for the VNL all on their own through the Challenger Cup back in 2023. And while their first one wasn't a terrible disaster, they still only went 2-10. Now, the majority of that was without one of their top players, in Elena Cazot, who only joined towards the later half of the VNL. But once this French team isn't there just there to make up numbers. I think this French team is a team that's gained a lot of experience over the next little bit, and that this Olympic Games is really going to be a chance for them to test themselves against some of the world's top opponents on the biggest stage. And I don't think teams can take them lightly. And Cazot is a fantastic player who's played in some of the top leagues in the world. And we really saw their opposite, Lucien Giquel, step up nicely for them over the course of the VNL. And the same thing for the middle blocker, Amanda Silves. I think this French team is going to be a good story for the French media, and that if they end up winning a set, let alone a match, it would be a massive win for this team. But given the opponents they have in their pool, it's going to take quite a bit for them to come out with a win.
Coming in at the number 2 seed in Pool A, the defending Olympic champions, the land of the free, the home of the brave, my beloved United States of America, now ranked 5th in the world. Olympic gold in Tokyo, an all-time great achievement after a series of different colored medals. We finally stood atop the podium just 3 years ago. And as their head coach, Karch Karai, likes to say, who knows a thing or two about Olympic gold medals, that Olympic medal from Tokyo can never be taken away from them. They don't see it so much as a title defense as much as an opportunity to go out there and do it again. And they're going to try and go out and do it again with a different cast of characters. And after an Olympic cycle that hasn't been the kindest, the United States haven't medaled at a VNL, haven't really, their only medal of any note was silver at the Norseca Championship last year, when they were upset by the Dominican Republic in the final. Not a lot of success in VNL, not a lot of success at the World Championship in terms of major hardware. I think something that's kind of happened in the world of women's volleyball is that everybody else on the planet has gotten so much better. I think the United States women's level has stayed largely the same. Now, they have players with Olympic gold medal experience. Olympic MVP Jordan Larson is back. Olympic starting setter Jordan Poulter is back after missing over a year with a major knee injury. Both opposites are back in Annie Drews and Jordan Thompson. Justine Wong-Arantes is back. The player I'm most interested in is Catherine Plummer, a new Olympian for the United States women, big outside hitter at 6'6", can score in and out of system, will be a frequent target in the reception pattern, but she had a brilliant club season playing next to her national team teammate Kelsey Robinson-Cook for Imoko Conegliano. I think that she'll be not only just a starter, but one of the very most important players for this U.S. women's team. And in an era of women's volleyball that's in a way defined by singularly dominant players, the United States is the opposite of that. This is a team defined by balance, defined by togetherness. This team is where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I think the mental game is really important for this American team. That gold medal win in Tokyo was as much mental as it was anything else, especially with all the circumstances at the time. Different circumstances now. The Olympics is back to its full fanfare, fans in the stands, all that. But the mental structure and the togetherness that this American women's team put into place a few years ago is going to have to carry them pretty far here, because there's so much talent elsewhere in this tournament that if there's another gold medal run somewhere within this team, it's going to have to come from between the ears and allow them to peak in a way that we haven't seen quite so much in this Olympic cycle on the court yet.
Next up in Pool A, we have China. And China, for me, the 6th-ranked team in the world, has to be one of the bigger dark horses in this tournament. I think this team has serious medal potential. Now, they've kind of had a bit of up and down few years. In 2023, we saw them make it all the way to the VNL finals, losing to Türkiye in what was an awesome run for them, but then falling flat at home in the Olympic qualification tournament, where they lost to teams like Canada and the Dominican Republic, really only beating Serbia. But Serbia had already qualified and Tijana Boskovic wasn't even playing. So that was a bit of a red flag for the Chinese. And they started the 2024 VNL really, really slowly. but really started to get better, especially once they got into week 3, where they went 4-0 and beat teams like Türkiye and Poland at full complement, at full strength. So I think this Chinese team, and then they decided not to go to the VNL finals and send a B team instead of the A team in order to rest up for these Olympic Games. Now, this is a team that has that experience. They didn't make it out of pools in Tokyo, but they still have members of that 2016 squad in the form of Zhu Ting, who's on the bench. Now, Zhu Ting is no longer the player that she once was, but she's still playing at a super high level, playing for Scandicci in the Italian Liga Volley Femminile. Now, having her come off the bench, being behind a player like Li Yingying, who after Gabi Kumares is hands down the best outside hitter in the world, this team is very, very good overall. They're going to wait you out. They're very patient. They've got really good base technique. They're fairly skilled, and they're also pretty physical. This is a team that's pretty good in all elements of the game, and they're going to wait you out and let you make errors. But Li Yingying is going to be able to put on the pressure, and they're also going to be able to put down a lot of pressure down the middle in Yan Jinwei and Wang Yuan. So they've got a lot of pressure down the middle, and that's mostly comes from their setter, Diao Lin Yu. So China is really a team that offers a lot of different looks from a lot of different positions. And when you've got a former Olympic MVP sitting on the bench, you're never in a bad spot either. I think China has the ability to make a long run in this tournament, and I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to them right now.
Last but certainly not least in Pool A, the 4 seed is Serbia. The 2022 world champions are seeded 4th in a pool at the Olympics. We can get into some of that. They're currently ranked 9th in the world. Medals at the last 2 Olympics, bronze in Tokyo, silver in Rio. But a big reason why they're down on the 4 seed line is because in tournaments that aren't the World Championship or the European Championship, they have not brought all of their resources and really put their best foot forward in terms of prioritizing the results. Therefore, they're down on the 4 seed line. Fortunately, the draw in the pool went the way that it did, and they got in the pool where France is the 1 seed, and you can kind of swap those teams for the purposes of ability and projection in an Olympic situation. Serbia is most obviously led by one of the very best players on planet Earth, the great opposite, Tijana Bošković, the lefty hammer, is no stranger to the Olympic stage. She's been great in 2 Olympics already, now totally in her prime, ready to carry a team maybe to the top of the podium at last. She's got medals of the other 2 colors, looking to add a gold to her trophy case, as is Maja Ognjenović, the great veteran setter who will bear the Serbian flag at Olympic opening ceremonies in probably her last run with the Serbian national team. She is very much looking for a gold medal as well. We don't know a whole lot about the Serbian top team's current form because they didn't send very many of these players to the Volleyball Nations League. They used that tournament for Coach Giovanni Guidetti to figure out the last couple bodies on the end of the roster. And from what we're hearing, they've even had some uncertainty since naming the roster. They made a very late swap of their libero and of their official Olympic alternate. So there's still some moving pieces to be settled as of this week for the Serbian women. But make no mistake, this team is a lot better than a 4 seed. This is the reigning world champions with a player in Tijana Bošković that can single-handedly make a team a contender to win a tournament like the Olympics. Keep an eye on their outside hitter position, which of the 5 outside hitters that they brought are going to start for them. And keep an eye on Hana Kurtagic in the middle as well, who is a huge breakout star in the blocking game this Volleyball Nations League. Serbia is very good. Medal aspirations without question.
Now, Rob, looking at this Pool A, it's clear that we have some of the biggest Olympic pedigree in this tournament, some of the absolute juggernauts. You've got the Olympic champs, defending Olympic champs in the United States. First and foremost, what do you think of their potential of defending their title and making it out of this pool?
Making it out of this pool is going to be a challenge because this pool is good. I like the matchup against France, at least for the United States. I think I like it for everybody else in this pool. But one of the things that we've been talking about, Ever, is that the U.S. women have kind of stayed at about the same level at best since Tokyo, whereas a lot of the other teams in the world have gotten better. I mean, I'd say Serbia has gotten a little bit better, even from bronze. They won the world championship 2 years ago, and China has certainly gotten better since their Tokyo performance. So can the US rely on that mental game and the experience, like I kind of talked about in the preview, to at least get out of this pool is step one and play really well against two great opponents? We'll see. I think the talent is there and the experience is there, but the current form, maybe not so much.
Yeah, no, the current form for the United States women just hasn't really been there. And they didn't really have a breakthrough at any point like China did. And well, as you said, we don't really know anything about this Serbian team, but they are the two-time defending world champions. They are a team that has been there multiple times. I mean, Tijana Boskovic was 19 years old when she started at the Olympics back in 2016, and she's grown to be one of the most complete and best players in the world. I think it's going to be tough for the United States to cleanly move on from this pool, but I do think that having France in this pool really gives other teams the best chance to pick up that one of the two best third place teams. I think, to me, Serbia is the most slated to do well at this pool. They're rested, they're confident, and this is a team that knows how to get it done at the Olympics. They've done it before, and they're ready to do it again.
The thing that I'm not quite so convinced about on the Serbian end is it's kind of the rest versus rust debate. Is the fact that they took basically the whole VNL off with their most important players. Is that going to be a good thing for them? There's only 3 pool play matches in the Olympics now. You have to come out of the gates as fast and as good as possible. There's no room to, ease your way into the Olympic Games the way they're kind of used to be under the old format. You can't do that anymore. And they've made roster moves like this week, heading into the Olympics.
Rob, remember my prediction that I think France is going to win the opening set of the tournament for the reasons that you just said, rest versus rust. I think that Serbian team is going to come in rusty, and that French team is going to come in flying.
I like
at home. At home, like this is happening on July 29th. The opening ceremony is on July 26th, so they can go to the opening ceremonies, get energized, get charged up, go and see a few events, watch the men open up against this very same country, against Serbia the night before, and get jazzed and energized. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time for the two-time defending world champions to get going. Now they will. Eventually,
they will.
I have no doubt about that. But this is once again why I've been saying I think France is going to win that very first set. But after that, it's a toss-up. As I said, I don't think too many people are paying too much attention to China in this tournament.
I agree.
You have the Serbias, you have the Türkiye, the Italies, the United States, even Poland and Japan as well. I don't think anyone is focused on China, and I think that makes them a dark horse and very, very dangerous.
Very dangerous. Being slept on in a tournament like the Olympics makes you dangerous. Serbia can beat both the United States and China if they have a great Tijana Boskovic performance and they have support from one other offensive player. Serbia is going to be terrifying for everybody else in the tournament. That's kind of Serbia's one weakness. The thing that we saw in the last Olympics when the U.S. beat Serbia 3-0 in the semifinal is that nobody else other than Tijana Boskovic was able to get going. And when that was clearly the case, the U.S. did a terrific job of defending against Boskovic and trying to take the shots away that she hits the most often and slow her down at least a little bit. That was different in the World Championship semifinal in 22 when Serbia beat us 3-1. But that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at is what's going to be the outside hitter situation for Serbia. Is somebody like an Uzelac or a Lozo ready to step up and shoulder the load on offense? And how's their reception chemistry going to be given the fact that they just swapped in a new libero this week?
Yeah, and absolutely. But also too, in the setting game, are they going to go with Oljenovic? Or are they going to go with Durchak? Like, what is the choice there? Are they going to go with the old legend or the younger generation? There's so many decisions, and I think that this is going to be that at least one medalist is going to come from this pool.
I could definitely see that, and I am pretty high on China. I just think that I think they'll make it out of this pool as well. I will go ahead and tell you right now that I'm going to pick Serbia 1, USA 2, China 3, France 4 in this pool. I think it'll be good enough for China to make it out because I think that they'll handle France and help themselves in the tiebreakers. But in a quarterfinal context, I think there are so many other teams that have an intensity and a togetherness and a mental edge that I haven't seen from China yet. Maybe we'll see it from them in group play against great competition. But right now, I don't love China's chances in a quarterfinal, like single elimination context. But I do like their chances to make it out of the pool. And I think we should sing the praises more of Li Yingying and just how good she is.
I think you're a little off base on that, considering they finished the VNL beating two of the best teams, right? And the year before that in the VNL, they made it all the way to the finals. So this is a team who knows how to win and knows how to beat the best teams, right? Last year they made it all the way to the finals and just couldn't beat Türkiye. This year they beat Türkiye in the preliminary round at full force too, with the entire squad, right? So
it was an awesome match.
Yeah, I think that China has all the tools to win a quarterfinal at the Olympics. I think they have, to be honest, all the tools in terms of the support and the knowledge and know-how how to navigate an Olympic Games. This is a country that puts the prime importance on the Olympic Games, and I think they're going to come fully stocked and fully prepared and fully ready to go. And I wouldn't be surprised if they left with a medal.
That's the thing about the Olympics, man. There are so many good teams. 4 really good teams are going to lose in the quarterfinals. Yeah. Some really good teams are not going to make it out of their pool.
No.
So let's hear your picks. Put them on the record. What do you got here in Pool A?
I'm the same with you. I think Serbia 1, USA 2, China 3, France 4.
Okay. We're aligned. That's pretty rare.
That has been rare so far. It
has been rare. Let's see what happens. I'm rooting for my United States women desperately. I hope they can recapture that magic from Tokyo, but I think it would be irresponsible to pick it given the struggles that they've had this Olympic cycle.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to Pool B. Pool B is going to be a fun one. We've got Brazil, one of the world's best teams, and they've finally coming together at the best time, and Poland, who's really been on the up and up lately.
Then you also have Japan, the 3 seed, who typically plays both Poland and Brazil super well, especially Brazil. And you have the African representatives from Kenya to round it all out. I'm excited to get in this one. Everett, take it away with Brazil.
All right, to kick off Pool B, we have the one and only Brazil. Now, Brazil, whenever you're talking about a volleyball context, is always a threat. And with this women's team is no different. Not only have they been pretty good the past few years, but it does seem like in 2024, they're really tying everything together. They've got a nice blend of older players mixed with younger players, and they have a lethal roster. They went perfectly 12-0 in the preliminary stage in the VNL. Unfortunately found themselves on the wrong end of a semifinal and then a bronze medal match and found themselves just outside of the medals. But this Brazilian team is a legitimate medal threat, led by none other than the best outside hitter in the game, Gabi Mares. She can do everything. She can pass. She can play defense. She can take volume on the outside. She is the spoon that stirs the pot for this team, but the rest of the team around her is very, very good as well. Ana Cristina on the left side with Rosa Maria in the opposite. Down the middle, too, with Ana Carolina da Silva and Thaisa, might be one of the best middle duos in the world. And a lot of quality coming off the bench, too. You've got a lot of younger players. Lorena stepped up huge for them in their 2022 quarterfinal against Japan at the World Championships that led to a bronze medal. And then, of course, you've got the young Julia Bergman coming off the bench as well. The setting position is going to be very, very interesting. Typically, in the past, they've always gone with Macris, but recently in the 2024, and she was named one of the best setters in the tournament, Roberta Ratsky was very, very good and was probably the reason that Brazil ran the table throughout the preliminary round of the 2024 VNL. Now, this Brazilian team knows how to get it done. They went all the way to the finals back in Tokyo, unfortunately losing to the United States of America. But this team is a team that, now that they're back together again and led by none other than Zé Roberto, this team has gold on their mind, and I think that they can do it.
Polska, biało-czerwoni. Polska, white and red. Poland, the number 4 ranked team in the world, comes into this pool seeded second, and their ascension to being an Olympic contender is pretty remarkable. They've done this all very quickly, qualifying for this Olympics for the first time since 2008. by going straight through the Olympic qualification tournament in the fall. Bronze at the last 2 Volleyball Nations Leagues, completely put themselves on the map as a world-class team. And the man to thank for that, in my opinion, is Stefano Lavarini. He's done awesome work since taking over the head job for the Polish women. It certainly helps that they have the best setter on planet Earth in Joanna Wołosz, who is just such a joy to watch play live or wherever you're watching in the world. When the ball is in her hands, she commands every other player on both sides of the net. It's pretty awesome to watch. And it's really awesome to watch her feed Magdalena Stysiak on the right side. Huge body, 2 meters tall, but really technical, really smooth, has great arm, great hand contact, ability to move the ball around on offense, and super strong down the middle too. 2 different types of middles, and Agnieszka Korneluk, who we like to nickname Lethal Barbie. There she is right there. She is massive. And then you have Magdalena Jurczyk, who's a lot smaller, a lot faster. I like that style counter a lot. Poland is new to this whole thing. This group of players has never been to an Olympic Games before, and they absolutely have the talent, the team composition, and the balance to do some serious damage here. And they match up well against both Brazil and Japan, who they've played quite a number of times historically and have handled themselves pretty well in those matchups. I am pretty confident in this Polish team's chances to make it out of this pool, especially given their team construction. But once they get into an Olympic elimination context, with none of them having been in that situation before, how are they going to do when all the pressure in the world is on them? That the Olympics are different. They are different from every other tournament. And I'm excited to see a great team full of great players embrace that for the first time. This is a very fun team to watch that should firmly be on every other team's radar as a contender to win a medal.
Next up, the third ranked team in Pool B is Japan. Now, the Japanese women are another team that have been quite a bit on the up, and we saw that especially throughout the 2024 VNL, where they made a run all the way to the final, eventually falling to Italy. Now, this team hinges on Sarina Koga. She was the second best scorer in the VNL this year, and she will be playing her final tournament for the Japanese national team. Now, around Koga, they have one of the most complete teams that we have in women's volleyball. Plenty of skill in the outside position. Mayu Ishikawa is usually the starter, but you can see Inui, Hayashi, or Wada. All of them are interchangeable both on the left side and on the right side of the court. They're very strong down the middle as well with Miyabe and Araki. And setter-wise, they have 2 great options, Kiyomi Iwasaki and Nanami Seti. Iwasaki has consistently been one of the top setters at the VNL and was rated as such this year as well. Japan actually, interestingly enough, employs 2 liberos, Manami Kojima and Satomi Fukudome. And Kojima is one of the heart and soul players on this team. You'll often see her in timeouts taking over things and giving instructions and telling the team how to work together. Now, this Japanese team, especially in this pool, plays both of these teams very, very tough. You know, we saw them play Brazil all the way back in Tokyo in pool play. We saw them beat Brazil in the group stage of the 2022 World Championships. Brazil then returned the favor at the quarterfinals of those said World Championships. And even this year in the VNL, Brazil won the preliminary stage match, whereas Japan beat them in the semifinals in another 5-setter. I'm almost going to guarantee you that these 2 teams are going to go to 5 sets. But Japan is another team that is maybe a bit of a dark horse. Their style on the women's game is different. They don't really rely on a big right side hitter. Instead, they use their speed, strong serving, and overall ball control to wait you out, while Sarina Koga is relied on to make world-class shots. I think that this pool is going to be pretty tough for them with Brazil and Poland. But as I said before, they're known to play them very, very tough. And while we did see them beat Kenya in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics in pool play, and I'm expecting them to do the same, I do expect them to give both Brazil and Poland a big run for their money.
Last but not least in this pool, the 4th seed is Kenya, ranked 20th in the world. They come back to the Olympics for the first time since Tokyo, where they failed to make it out of pools. They have represented Africa in the Olympics a number of times, have never made it out to the quarterfinal stage. Kenya not participating in the Volleyball Nations League. We did see them in the Challenger Cup this year in FIVB events, where they lost 3-0 to Puerto Rico in the round of 8. A couple of interesting things about Kenya. I mean, this is a very fun team to watch. You can see some of the highlight packages here from the 2022 World Championship, where they play with a lot of energy and could definitely make some plays. The top end talent in terms of players playing in great club leagues and developing at super high levels is not quite there, at least yet, for this team. As far as scoring, you can probably expect Pamela Andiambo to be one of their primary scorers at the opposite position. And it is very cool to see another indoor volleyball player be honored as his or her country's flag bearer, the honor of which was given to Kenyan captain Triza Atuka. So that's great for Kenya. Their representation here is very important. But the fact of the matter remains that the last time Kenya won a match in major competition against a non-African opponent was a 3-0 win over Kazakhstan in the 2018 World Championship.
All right, Rob, women's pool B. Now, this one is going to be interesting, I think, but I do think that all three teams from this pool are going to be able to make it out. I think whichever, especially with how much these teams have played each other a little bit and they love beating each other up. I think especially if Japan goes 1-2, they have ability to go to 5 with both of these teams and get enough points to move forward. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the tie-breaking chances are going to be favorable for the top 3 teams in this pool because they're likely to get wins over Kenya, against whom they're going to be really, really heavy favorites. And the recent major match history between all 3 of these is super interesting. They've played each other a lot recently, particularly Japan and Brazil, kind of like you talked about, they just love to play 5-set bangers against each other. And Japan finally got one in the VNL semifinals this year. But I love these 3 teams. I'm really fascinated by the matchups between the 3. Brazil is Brazil, as we like to talk about. They are crazy skilled. They are, I'd say, maybe middle of the pack in terms of Olympic level physicality. Poland is new to this stage. They have more physicality, a little bit less of the Olympic level skill, and very little experience. And Japan is just straight skill. So how those things all match up in sort of a triangle could result in them beating each other in a triangle, and everybody goes 2-1. I wouldn't doubt that at all.
No, I think so as well. I think for Poland, we've discussed it before that this is a team that on paper is a world-class medal threat, but they just haven't really done it before. In the past 2 years, we've seen them really dominate throughout the preliminary stage of the VNL and then maybe come up a little bit short winning bronze. And I say only winning bronze, but this is a team that truly dominated throughout the preliminary stage. And to me, they have all the pieces. That they have the coaching, they have the physicality, they have the depth, right? They might have one of the best double subs. They have the setter. Like they have the star power and everything there, but they just haven't done it and they haven't gotten it done before. And I think getting out of this pool for Poland is going to be really important and the way that they do. Because if they're able to set themselves up with a high seed, that's really going to give them a really good opportunity. Now, we've said that these teams have played each other a lot, and they have. However, Poland, I was going to say that Poland has struggled to beat Japan or Brazil, but both of these teams have struggled to beat Brazil until these very VNL
until this
finals,
year,
right? It was they struggled to beat Brazil, and then finally Japan overcomes them with a 5-set banger in the semifinals, and then Poland overcomes them with another 5-set banger in the bronze medal match. So I think that this pool is wide open, and we could see a variety of these 3 teams in any spot.
Definitely. I mean, Brazil going 12-0 this VNL, and they're the first team ever to do that, to then not medal.
Yeah,
you would think that would be incredibly disappointing. But the thing that I've kind of been saying about it is that they didn't really play a single bad match the entire tournament. But the 2 teams that did end up finding the ability to beat them were the 2 teams they're going to see in this pool, which is incredibly entertaining. I personally love Poland in this pool. I think Poland has enough confidence with the win over Brazil recently, and I really think they match up well against Japan. I think Japan's lack of size, they're going to struggle with blockers like Magdalena Stysiak and Agnieszka Korneluk. And the 6-2 option that they have, bringing Malvina Smarzek off the bench. I like the way Poland matches up against Japan a lot. I don't see Japan's ability to slow down Poland when Poland's so big and when Poland has the best setter on the planet. So I like him there, and Poland-Brazil is a coin flip to me.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, let's remember the there was a little bit of controversy over that semifinal between Poland and Italy in the VNL. Poland had like not even 24 hours before played an extensive 5-setter, one of the best matches that we saw in the VNL against Türkiye, and had defeated the defending champions, and then had to turn around once again and play an rested and ready to go Italy. It was a little one-sided. So I think this tournament could be absolutely massive for the Polish women.
Yeah, and I love Brazil too. I really love Brazil. I think since Tokyo, they got all the way to the Olympic final and kind of got crushed. Like they got beat down 3-0 pretty good by my US women that year, but they floated around relevance and international prominence the last 2 years, but I think they really found an identity again this year. And what it comes down to me is how settled they are with their identity on the wings, with Gabi Guimarães and Ana Cristina on the left. You got the world-class ball controller receiver in Gabi, who can certainly score. And you got Ana Cristina, who's an elite scorer actually on either side of the court. She can play both positions. Then you have Rosa Maria on the right, who also has some ball control skill. Julia Bergman, Lorena off the bench, like that. They're so good at every position. And now that they feel to me like they're playing like Brazil again. And I feel like going 12-0 in VNL, you have no choice but to feel really confident heading into an Olympic Games.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, Rob, pick them. What are you looking at here?
I'm going Poland 1, Brazil 2, Japan 3, Kenya 4, and Japan still will be able to make it out, definitely. But as much as I like Japan and I think that they will play Brazil really tough, the last time that we saw Japan and Poland play, it was a very convincing win for Poland in the preliminary round of VNL this year. So I don't love that matchup for Japan, but they're absolutely good enough to give both Poland and Brazil a run, if not maybe even steal one from Brazil, and they should be able to make it out of this pool.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going similar. I'm going Poland, Brazil, Japan, Kenya. Like I said, I think Japan is going to go out there and at least get to 5 with one of these two teams. But I don't think either after Japan's run to the semifinals, I don't think either of these two teams is going to take them lightly. I do like Japan's match or potential in a crossover. I think that once you get into a one match showdown, I think there's going to be a lot on the line for this Japanese team, especially being Serena Koga's last tournament. We know what she means to that team and that program and that country, just in terms of, who she is in the world of volleyball. So if they get into that position, I could see them pulling off something special.
I agree. Going to be a really fun pool to watch there at the top. Those 3 teams, Brazil, Poland, Japan, playing one another is must-watch volleyball.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Let's get on to Pool C.
We're going to take this moment to shout out Mikasa and the official 2024 Paris game balls that you can get for both indoor and beach. You can get those over at shop.volleyballworld.com. It's the official Paris 24 Olympic game balls from Mikasa. And I don't know about you, Rob, but just with that crisp Paris 2024 branding with the flame and all that, the Olympic rings, it just looks good. It just looks clean.
Totally. I'll be picking one up.
Finally, to wrap things up, Rob, we have Pool C. And Pool C is going to be another banger with some even teams across the board. At the top, we have two of the biggest medal contenders, Italy and Türkiye.
And behind them, 2 teams looking to make some serious noise in the Netherlands and the Dominican Republic. Looking forward to breaking this one down. Let's start off with the VNL champs from Italy.
Now, to kick things off in Pool C, we have the number 1 team in the world and the current VNL champions, Italy. Italy is a team that could be characterized as being a medal contender at all times, but last year they really went through it a little bit. We saw them struggle at Eurovolleyball 2023, finishing off the podium altogether in 4th, and then failed to qualify through the Olympic qualifying tournament last fall. Now, coming into 2024, they righted the ship by bringing in a new head coach. Last minute for sure, but when you're bringing in the legendary Julio Velasco, it tends to work out, and work out it did, with them going 10-2 in the preliminary round of the VNL and winning it all with a great run, taking down Poland in the semifinals and then kind of dismantling Japan in the finals. And this team looked like they were back to form. And with form, it's going to come off the back of Paulo Ogonu. Ogonu is arguably the best hitter in the game right now, has won Champions Leagues, has won club seasons, has really done it all. And she has the ability to turn any game around. And around her, you might have one of the more complete rosters in volleyball. Really good talent on the left side in Miriam Silla. She's going to be alongside Caterina Bossetti. You've got maybe the strongest middle court in the world with Anna Danesi, Sarah Farr, and Marina Lubin. Backing Agonu up, you have Ekaterina Antropova, who's one of the brightest young stars in the game. And then you have Alessia Oro to tie everything together in the setting position. If this team can play that complete style of volleyball that we saw at the VNL, where everyone is able to block as well as they do, this team is a massive, massive blocking team with how strong they are down the middle and how big Agonu is on the right side. If they are able to block that the way they do and play defense well enough to get Agonu balls out of system, this team could be looking at Olympic gold for the first time in their history. This team has been to 7 straight Olympic games, and not once have they qualified for the semifinals. And now there's not many things I'm sure about in this Olympic Games, but one of the things I am confident saying is I do think for the first time ever, Italy is going to qualify for the semifinals. But the big question is, will that qualification end up with a medal around their neck? We'll have to see.
Up next, the number 3 ranked team in the world, coming in as the 2 seed in this pool. It is Türkiye, 2023 VNL champions. Their year 2023 was tremendous. They won everything they touched that year in the first year under head coach Daniele Santarelli. And after the 2023 Olympic qualifiers, they were the undisputed number 1 team on planet Earth. Not the case anymore, though. It is a lot more up in the air in terms of the global women's volleyball scene, and Türkiye is in a bit of a struggling position right now after a Volleyball Nations League that has tested their roster's health. That's the first thing we got to talk about this team right now is they're fighting through some things with some nagging injuries to some of their athletes, and there isn't really an answer to the question of how they're going to look until we see them on the court in an Olympic context. But what we do know that they have is another one of those great players in the game that instantly makes you a contender, the great Melissa Vargas. In her 2nd season now at the Turkish national team, she is tremendous. And I'm licking my chops at the chances to watch her play against Paula Egonu in an Olympic context. So Vargas is unbelievable at the right side. She can score in every possible way, but this is a very well-rounded team, incredibly well coached, and a lot of talent across the board. The move that Ebrar Karakurt made when she was the starting opposite in the Tokyo Olympics when Türkiye finished 5th, her both physical and mental willingness to switch positions and take on a different role for this team has been incredibly important in defining them as a gold medal contender. They're tremendous down the middle, assuming that they are healthy with Ada Erdem and Zehra Güneş. Elif Şahin, I think, is a really good setter, but they've got 2 good options. The health issues, though, really start to assert themselves at the outside hitter position. How healthy is Hande Baladin going to be? What other characters might we see next to Ebrar Karakurt, assuming that she'll be in there as the primary scorer? No matter what happens, I personally trust Daniele Santarelli as the head coach more than just about anyone in the game. He is, in my opinion, the best volleyball coach on planet Earth. Won just about everything he has touched. This is, though, his first Olympic Games as a head coach, especially for a team like Türkiye with major federational support and a huge fan base comes an element of pressure. But if there's one guy to navigate the waters of that and get the most out of this Turkish team with however healthy they are at the moment at an Olympic Games, it's Daniele Santarelli with Melissa Vargas as the primary offensive option. This Turkish team, their ceiling is Olympic gold for sure. Their floor is the quarterfinals. I think they'll absolutely make it out of this group, but keep an eye on their form in group play, how healthy they are, and how much it looks to you, and all you volleyball fans watching can tell an Olympic gold medal contender when you see one. Keep an eye on that with this Turkish women's team.
Rob, I think this is a little cruel that you're making me do this one, but okay. Next up is the Netherlands. Now, the Dutch women defeated my Canadian women fair and square at the VNL to grab that last spot at the Olympic Games for the first time that they've been there since 2016. Now, last time around, they finished 4th. I don't think we're going to be seeing the same result for the Dutch women this time. As I said, they grabbed that last final spot with a pretty good VNL record, 7-5 over the course. They did finish 8th at the VNL, which is the same as a world ranking as well. But unfortunately, because of Thailand hosting, they were unable to go to the finals, and that's where their road ended. They're going to use pretty much their entire roster in and out. They've got two solid opposites in Celeste Plack and Els Danbrink. Danbrink led them in scoring for the VNL with 110 points. So she's definitely going to be relied upon by Britt Bongartz, the setter, to take a little bit of volume, but they're pretty solid everywhere. Julian Nolema on the left side as an outside hitter can be serviceable in most situations, and they're really strong down the middle as well with Indy Byans. And Florian Riesink is maybe one of the more underrated liberos that we have right now. But when you look at this Dutch team overall and how they made it here, they never beat a team higher than the ranking other than Italy in the bronze medal match. And we talked about that Italian team in the bronze medal match of the Euro volley. That was a team in shambles. And now the Netherlands did do a good job to win that game, but it wasn't the typical Italian team what they've seen. But other than that, they were beating both non-Olympic teams, but also non-VNL teams in the lead up to qualifying. So I think the Dutch are going to have a very tough time here in this pool. I think they're going to be competitive and give all the teams a real good run for their money. But in what is probably the toughest pool here at the 2024 Paris Olympics, I think they're going to have a very tough time picking up any wins and making it out.
Last but certainly not least, Las Reinas del Caribe, the Queens of the Caribbean from the Dominican Republic, ranked 11th in the world and kind of came out of nowhere late last year to not only win the NORCECA championship over the United States, but also to take first in a very difficult pool over Serbia and China at the Olympic qualification tournament in the fall. That was basically the last we saw of them in top form, just 3-9. This VNL were struggling with some health issues and wanted to rest up for the Olympics, which I certainly respect. Dominican Republic is a difficult team to project. We haven't seen them in a little while. They certainly have some comparisons to their Caribbean cousins in the Cuban men. I also kind of compare them to the German men a little bit, and the fact that they made an unreal run last year. We haven't seen much of them since. Dominican Republic is good and is scary. At their top end, if they play really well, they can beat the two super high favorite teams in this pool in Italy and Türkiye. Dominican Republic is defined by physicality. They don't run a super complex offense. It's not super fast. It's not super technical. Niverka Marte just does a good job at the setter position of giving the ball high enough for her really good athletes to go up and get it, and they've got some. Keep an eye on Alondra Tapia at the opposite position, just 20 years of age. She was definitely a star this VNL, while the rest of the team was kind of waiting back at home. And especially a real treat to watch if you haven't gotten to see her play in person, Brenda Castillo is a complete difference maker at the libero position. In both Everett and I's opinion, the best libero on the planet. She is incredible to watch. She'll take up a huge amount of space in the serve reception game and plays one of the most beautiful, instinctive defensive games to watch that you'll see in any libero anywhere. Keep an eye on the outside hitter position for sure. Likely Brianlyn Martinez and Yonkaira Peña Isabel starting there with the legendary Bethania de la Cruz very capably off the bench. I don't really know what to expect from the Dominican Republic, and that's exciting to me. I like the fact that this team has shown the top-end ability to upset great teams before, but we have no idea what sort of form they're coming in with. Coach Marcos Kwiek is going to have an interesting task on his hands to game plan for two elite-level teams, and then a team like the Netherlands who is very steady. So, I'm excited to talk with Everett in a minute about the Dominican Republic and how we project their pool. Definitely a team to watch, a dark horse as far as 4 seeds are concerned.
Well, Rob, this pool is going to be very interesting. And I want to start with Türkiye because we're hearing reports right now of injuries to Hande Baladin and Zaragunis that aren't 100% yet, that they're not even with the team and haven't been training with the team in Paris, and they might not even play throughout the group stages. What does that do for you and Türkiye's expectations?
Their expectations still should be as high as possible. Even without those two very important players.
What's as high as possible?
Gold. Their expectations should still be gold, 100%. Hande Baladin and Zara Güneş are both extremely important. Zara Güneş is one of the best middle blockers in the world. Hande Baladin is the perfect outside hitter complement to Ebrar Karakurt when healthy. Without those players, I don't know exactly what they're going to look like in from a pool perspective, but I think even without them, they have Melissa Vargas and Karakurt alone can carry enough offensive load to beat the Netherlands and probably even beat the Dominican Republic. So I think that Türkiye might be in sort of survival mode as far as group play is concerned. But those players, if there is any remote chance in the world that they're going to be healthy enough to play an Olympic quarterfinal game, they will. I am very confident about that.
Fair enough. I do think that the Dominican Republic is going to be a dangerous team in this tournament. I love their physicality. They can play with almost anyone because of it, and they can rely on a different player game in, game out. And much like China in Pool B, Pool A, the Dominican Republic has a legend on the bench in the Bethania de la Cruz. And especially throughout the NORCECA championships, we were able to see her come in clutch situations, both in the back row and in the front row. She just brings a bit of a calming presence. And like you said, I think Brenda Castillo is one of those rare liberos who has the ability to win teams' games. She has the ability to win it both in serve receive, where she is not only their best power passer, but she takes control of their back line and she makes them better as a unit. But
As
she's
the
also
great liberos do.
as they do, but she also takes control of that backcourt in any type of broken play in defense. She's a game-changing libero. And if she's on her game, and now we haven't seen her in a little bit, I think for some reason, I think that the rest is really, really going to help this Dominican team. And I know that there's plenty of Turkish fans who, without Hande Baladin and Zaragoza, especially for me, is where they're going to be missing the most. She brings so much to that middle position. She's one of the best middle blockers in the world. She led Tokyo 2021 in blocks, and they were really hoping to bank on her again in this one. Ultimately, I think this is Italy's pool to win. I think they're on fire. I think they are, other than not having De Gradi or maybe someone like Pietrini, they're a little bit thin on the left side there. When you look at Omorui potentially coming in, but I think this is Italy's pool to win, and we're really going to see how those injuries are going to be affecting Türkiye, and if a rested up Dominican Republic can take advantage of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think just the quality of athletes and the quality of physicality and scoring ability of Italy, Turkey, and the Dominican Republic, I think all that will be too much for the Netherlands, in my opinion. Real tough draw for the Dutch. Dominican Republic is a difficult team to predict, but everybody in the world, I think, is a nightmare matchup when they try and beat Italy. Italy is so good, and it's not just Egonu. It's the identity that Julio Velasco has been able to build with them in record-breaking time. The turnaround speed.
Well, all the pieces were there, right?
Yes,
And
they were
just
yes, they were
being utilized improperly before, and maybe pitted against each other. Who knows?
Maybe a little bit.
We don't know what Davide Mazzanti was doing, but Velasco has done wonders for this team.
Yeah, their block system is really what impresses me a lot. The way their middles move around, take up the right amount of space. They're a very high volleyball IQ team. They're a high skilled team. They do great homework in scouting and prepare their players well for their opponents. I like Italy to win this pool personally. I think that Italy will beat Turkey head to head on the very last day of pool play competition, but I hope very much not only that Turkey is healthy just in general, but I hope that they're healthy enough to play Italy again. I hope that they're healthy enough to play Italy again in a semifinal or in a medal match. That match would be absolute fireworks if those two played each other, like Egonu against Vargas, with everybody around them fully healthy in an Olympic Games. That would be all-time awesome stuff if it happened that way.
Yeah, I think most just pure volleyball fans are hoping for that, right? Especially if you're like me and your team isn't in the women's tournament. You just get to sit back and enjoy what I think might be some of the best volleyball we've seen all time ever. There's so much riding on this tournament, and there's so many teams that have built themselves up right for this moment. It's so hard to pick. Heck, some of our picks might not even make the semifinals. Who knows, right?
The
But
Olympics, baby.
that's
How
what
it
this one.
goes.
Yeah. I would love to see the Dutch team do really well because it would not justify them being there. They fully deserve to be there, fair and square. But it would just make me feel a little bit better that, you know what, hey, at least we lost to a team that made a deep run. But I don't know
it's
if that's
sad.
going to be able to happen in this pool, Rob. This is going to be a tough pool to get out of, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 3 teams come out of this pool. Actually, I would be, given how tough this pool is, given the other pools, how both the other pools have a gimme. It's going to be very, very tough for the 3rd place team in this pool to advance, I think.
Yes, it is. You're going to have to steal at least a point, if not a win, from somebody ranked way above you, probably in the Dominican Republic's case. And we're going to have to see how that goes. Italy to me right now is so scary.
Very scary.
They should be playing with so much confidence. I think they're so complete. Their one hole might be the outside hitter position. And that's something that a team like Türkiye, who's coached by an Italian guy in Santarelli who knows everything about all those players, something that they will try their best to take advantage of. But the way Italy's playing right now, I've got them winning this pool. I've got Italy 1, Türkiye 2, Dominican Republic 3, Netherlands 4.
Yeah, I've got the same thing.
Okay.
We've gone 3 for 3 on this one, Rob.
Wow.
I don't.
We're gonna be dead wrong about all of them, I'm
Yes,
sure.
we're going to be, absolutely. I think so as well.
So that's the pools. That's our picks. One thing left to do is talk about some medal favorites. Let's get to it.
All right, Rob. Like we said, this is one of the deepest and potentially the best indoor volleyball tournament of all time at the Olympics. There's only one thing left to do here, Rob. We got to pick it. We got to tell the people who we think is going to win.
This
I
is
want
hard.
This is really hard. This is really hard.
So the way I kind of see this women's field, like compared to the men's field, where I think that there are 4 teams that have a chance to win, this women's field, there might be as many as like 6 or even 7.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like half the field in this tournament, you can make a case that they can actually go out and win Olympic gold. It's unbelievable. And the Olympics are just so fascinating for that reason. And there are going to be really good teams that lose in the quarterfinals. But at the end of the day, I'll give you my picks and we can break it down a little more. I think this is Italy's year. I think Italy wins Olympic gold. I am so convinced by their style of play, by their personnel, and by the superstar ability of Paola Egonu in big moments and in all moments, that I'm convinced by the way that they match up against as many other teams in the field as possible. I think they take the gold medal match over Brazil. So Brazil silver. And then I've got Türkiye over Poland for bronze. So that means I have Serbia losing in the quarterfinal. I have the United States losing in the quarterfinal. I have China losing in the quarterfinal. Like it's crazy hard to pick. Again, there are going to be some super good teams that don't get to the medal rounds, but at the end of the day, I think that this is Italy's year. They're the hottest team coming in. They might be the best and most well-rounded, with that superstar as kind of the cherry on top of it all.
Okay, I could very well see that as well. I think for me, Rob, I think there's one team that's been building up towards these Olympics, and they know what they need to get done because they've been there before and just haven't been able to get the job done, and that's Serbia. I think that Serbia, with a healthy and rested Tijana Boskovic, is a dangerous Serbia. Serbia has a sport culture in general that they have the ability to flip on that switch. We talked about it on the men's side, how they can just turn it on. The women have the same thing. If we can go back to the 2022 VNL, where this Serbian team without Tijana Boskovic managed to manage a bronze medal, a 3rd place finish. This is a team that knows how to win with or without her. With her, it's way better. And I think this team is ready for that. So I think Serbia is going to beat Poland in the finals.
Wow.
And I think Italy is going to beat Brazil in the bronze medal match.
Do you think? Wow. Wow. You think Türkiye loses in the quarterfinals?
Yes, I think Türkiye is too injured right now. Not to mention Zaragunes, Hande Baladin are not in game ready shape. Even if they're cleared to play, when's the last time they played? Are they ready? I don't know, and I don't know if just Vargas on her own, as we saw, they ended up losing in the quarterfinals of the Vienna. I don't know if her on her own is enough to push them over the top.
That's one of such a fascinating part about this Olympics. I kind of see all these contenders. You can kind of put them on a scale in a way. Like on one side of the scale, you have really good teams, but are dominated by superstar opposite players. That's Serbia with Boskovic, Italy with Egonu, Türkiye with Vargas. Then you have teams on the other side of the contender scale that are defined by their balance and their experience and their sort of like whole is greater than the sum of its parts idea. I would say that the United States and Brazil are in there. Then you have
China
a couple.
Well. Yeah.
I would kind of put China even in the middle, along with Poland a little bit, where they have a go-to player. Poland's is Stysiak, China's is Li Yingying, and like everybody kind of knows that, but they've got talent, ability, and experience around them. Which one of those formulas is going to come through in a 3-match Olympic single elimination series with everything on the line? I have no idea. That's the beauty of this thing, man. The Olympics are so different than everything else. The stage is bigger. There's just more to it. The pressure is higher. If you're feeling any amount of pressure in a normal match, you can multiply that by 10 at least in the Olympic Games. How are all these teams going to handle that mentally in addition to physically, and the volleyball matchups against one another? It's going to depend a lot on the quarterfinal draw. It's really going to depend a lot on who plays who and when. I cannot wait to watch it, but Italy is my pick at the end of the day.
Remember, Rob, that there has been a bit of history in recent years with teams finishing 4th in their pool and then winning. France did that on the men's side back in 2021. They finished 4th in their pool. The last one, once again, their pool of 6. They were the bottom team in their pool to be able to make it out and ended up winning. China did the exact same thing in 2016 in Rio. So just remember, even if a team finishes 3rd place in their pool and they barely make it out, the skin in their teeth, once you get into the quarterfinals, it's a 1-game elimination. And when you're at the Olympics, anything can happen.
Anything.
Absolutely anything. And I think that goes twofold, like you said, for this specifically women's indoor volleyball tournament, because of the parity we see across the board. There is so many of these teams that can go out there and win it all. And I can't wait to start watching it all.
Can't wait. Volleyball fans heaven coming up the next couple of weeks. We're so excited to have all you volleyball fans along for the ride. Make sure you stick around for everything volleyball world related, all the content possible in all the different formats, including here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you look at the ways to watch the volleyball matches themselves in your respective countries and follow along with what Everett and I are doing, because we're going to be busy. We're going to be busy here and elsewhere covering the best volleyball tournament in the game.
All right, guys. Enjoy the Olympics.